Hello everybody, here a new video from Renee, and in this video I'm going to show my 30 favorite records released in 1995, 20 years ago. Most of them are hard rock or heavy metal records, and that's what I'm going to show in this video. I mean, we all know that back in 95 other styles of music besides traditional hard rock and heavy metal was very popular, you know, other styles of music. And a lot of the CDs I'm going to show you, I bought them when they were released, but a lot of people didn't buy this stuff anymore because they even didn't know about it. Because a lot of this stuff I'm going to show, most of them are CDs, are records from bands that you know, that didn't appear in magazines, you know, back in 95 anymore, because, you know, other styles of music was in the hard rock and heavy metal magazines, you know, more like alternative bands, funky metal bands, grunge bands, you know, later of course new metal industrial bands, you know, especially a lot of industrial bands came out in 95, for me the release records back then. But all these albums, I love them to death. I'm gonna watch sometimes this the computer, because the list is on here, and of course it took me quite a long time to make this video. Okay, I think the cat just pressed something. I have a cat just here and he pressed the button and now it doesn't work anymore. Wait, now yes. And I had to go at least through 100 records or more, you know, to be able to make this 1995 list, because 1995 to me was a great year, and you will see in this video for sure a lot of you have stuff from this pile, and the other one I have here. Oh, it's a cat. Sorry, the cat is just did it. But some of you maybe will discover new stuff, and that's why I'm making this video. You know, and also to make understand people, you know, that the 90s were great too, because a lot of people, you know, are stuck in the 70s and 80s or stuff from nowadays, and they don't realize that the 90s also had a lot of traditional hard rock and heavy metal, you know, and that's what I'm going to show in this video. Okay, we're going to start with Hellstar, Multiples of Black, and this is one of the most underrated records from by Hellstar. It came out on Massacre Records and Germany. You know, that I think it's a German label. I'm not sure it's a German label, but they had an office in Germany. And this sounds just like traditional Hellstar. You know, it's a very underrated record. I mean, I really like this record very much. This is on the 30, you know, like position. Then we go to the only vinyl I'm going to show in this video, Extinction of Mankind, Baptist in Shit. And this is a nice crushed thrash metal with some old school punk touches to it. Good, great record and very underrated band. Extinction of Mankind. Extinction of Mankind. Okay. We go on with Barney, Tiempo Final. This is a band from Argentina, and they were a Christian melodic hard rock heavy metal band. And this has just many great songs on it. On the number 27 we have Loud, Loud, Loud by Fist. This is the Canadian Fist, also known as Mayo Fist. And this was made in Canada. And this is from 95, of course, like everything I'm showing. But some songs are older songs that they re-record for this album, but also new songs. And I always like the voice of this guy, because he had a very rough voice. I think it's a great album, and if you like 80s Fist, you also like this album by Fist. Okay. Oh, sorry. Ay, is the wrong buttons. Okay. One album I didn't buy when it was released. I bought the re-release some years later, but a guy taped me this album back in 95 and I really liked it. It was the Michael Schenker Comeback with UFO album, Walk on Water. See? Okay, the next one is Hotwire. It was the debut album by the German band Hotwire, melodic hard rock. I really like this album, especially the song Crying in the Night. And when I play this, it really takes me back to '95, because a lot of times I went to a hard rock cafe in near where I live, and sometimes I took this CD with me, and they played the song "Crying in the Night," and I always loved to hear that song when I was like not drunk but a little bit pissed, and it was really nice. I think I even have a letter here from by the band. And then you can see also the inside. I'm not really showing all the insides from all the CDs because it's just too many, and the video will be too long. Okay, the next one, I should have wrote it on a paper, maybe it would have been better. Yngwie Malmsteen, Magnus Opus. You know, this is an album I like a lot. This is the second one with Mike Vesera on it. I mean, the first album with Mike Vesera, you know, the guy that was in Loudness and Obsession before, and nowadays he's still in Obsession. They released the Seventh Sign in '94, and the Seventh Sign I like it more than this one. You know, this will be a 3.5 stars out of 5. Everything I show in this video are records that are at least graded 3.5 out of 5 stars. Now everything that's under 3.5 is not in this video, because a lot of stuff, you know, like for example Shadows Iga, this band for example, this came out in '95. I mean, the record I think was re-released a couple years later with some bonus tracks, but the record on CD came out in '95. It's a nice heavy metal album, but it didn't make my top because it's just a 3 stars. Or this one by Hates, Exist to Resist, nice picture disc, also didn't make my my top 30. And this album has 1 or 2 songs that are were re-recorded from the old days, and although some of the songs they sounded more dark, you know, that they lost this power US metal sound from the first albums or first singles, like the single The Cross, where they sounded very much like an like epic US power metal. On this record they sounded more like Alice in Chains, you know, the Dirt by Alice in Chains, you know, a dark vibe. They had a dark vibe, some of the songs. Still a good record. I mean, I don't dislike it at all. I like it more nowadays, in 2015, than back in 1995, 20 years ago. And also this album by Bleachrick, the UK band, also very nice. This came out on Neat Records back in '95, also 3 stars. And then stuff by League Lord, you know, I don't, of course I didn't get everything out. This by League Lord is also a good one from '95 with Warlord guitar player. Okay, I just pressed the wrong button and went back. Wait 1 second. Okay, let's go back to the list, because not this video is going to be too long. The last one I showed was 24, Yngwie Malmsteen, Magnum Opus. I'm making a mistake here. Oh, okay, here. Yeah, okay. Bon Jovi, These Days. This is the last good album, I think, by Bon Jovi. From here on, you know, they still had some records that had good songs on it, but this album is very good in my opinion. And this I bought in '96, because this is a re-release with a bonus CD. And it's a special packing. See? But it's from '95, of course, These Days. It's in the vein of Keep the Faith, you know, I still like this album a lot. Okay, then the next one will be Symbolic by Dead. This is another record I didn't buy when it was released. I bought it recently, but of course I had it recorded on tape back in '95. Very good album. Especially like Crystal Mountain is very good, and Zero Tolerance. A lot of great tracks. Here we have an underrated band again. I mean, in the 80s they were quite popular, but they never made it like big like Motley Crue or Rat. You know, I'm talking about Kix. And this was the '95 album, and this has many good songs on it. And it sounds pure like Kix, you know, no modern influences. There's no modern influences on any of these records. You know, they were released in '95, but they sounded like back in the 80s, most of them. Okay, then Quiet Riot, another good example. You know, a lot of people during the '90s just forgot about this band. You know, but they released some cool stuff, and this is one of them. This was a little bit disappointed when it was released for me, because I was a big fan of No More Tears, and of course the old stuff by Ozzy. And when Osmosis came out, you know, it was okay, you know, but I was a little disappointed with it. It's a quite dark sounding record. Of course, for 95 it was perfect, because, you know, 95 or in the mid 90s were a dark era for music in general. And this fitted 95 quite well. But I would have liked a more traditional hard rock and metal album. Still, it has good songs. That's why this is a 3.5 out of 5 album. And it was on number 19. Okay, now we go to number 18. Number 18 will be Burning Down Paradise by Tokyo Blade. You know, it doesn't have this typical 80s sounding Tokyo Blade sound anymore, but still very good album, I think. You know, sometimes it reminds me of American power metal, you know, what you can hear on this record. You know, also Martial Law, you know, all the bands from the UK that started in the 80s. Also during the 90s they sounded more like US metal, you know, but I think that's cool. Okay, on number 17 we have Ball Breaker by AC/DC. I go a little faster. On number 16 we have the first album with Blaze Bayley with Iron Maiden, the X Factor. Of course, Fear of the Dark is one of my favorite albums by them, and of course 3 years later with the new singer they came back. I saw them actually on this tour, you know, so it was a good tour. I like Blaze Bayley and I think this album is good. It's a dark record, again for 95 it's perfect. But same with this one, Heart of Darkness, talking about darkness, Grave Digger. Of course the Germans went on playing traditional heavy metal back in the 90s, most of the bands did, from Germany, and of course Grave Digger too. See? Then on number 14 we have Sacrifice by Motorhead, one of the heavier albums by Motorhead. I really like this record. A lot of great songs on it. Then we have another band that people didn't follow. I mean, this band actually started in the late 80s, but very late 80s, 89. I think the first record came out in 1990. That's why they're more a 90s band. But in 1990 and 92, when the second album came out, they still sounded pure like the 80s. And this one, their third album, also sound like the 80s. Fear No Evil. And this is a killer release. If you like the first two, you should also get this one. But back in 95, the magazines, the radio, and the TV, nobody gave a shit about this style of music anymore. It's such a shame, because this album should have sold a lot. It came out on a German label. You know, their hard rock were still big. I mean, in Europe, a lot of people are still listening to this style. But in the USA, sad enough, a lot of people went with the fashion. You know, they went. You know, it's not always the fault of the people, but people just thought that these records were not released because, you know, there was no media behind this band anymore. And all the German bands that deserve all my respect, because they released great things in 80s, 90s, and still nowadays. Sinner, you know, of course with Matt Sinner. This was a really good record. Bottom line, it's a little heavier than the old Sinner. You know, it's got not modern touches, but some heavier riffs on it. But I think it's a very good record, and this came at number 12 on my top 30 list. Another band that went on making great records was Race with Black in Mind. Strange enough, I like this album now more than in 95. Digipack. Okay. And also some bonus tracks. 2 bonus tracks. This came out in 95 with Gun Records. Okay. Another record I love very much is Ritchie Blackmore Rainbow, Stranger in a Soul. This is such a great hard rock album. I mean, so underrated. It's such a shame, because I really like this record so much. It's an amazing album. Now the singer nowadays is singing for Tank, but it's a great record. Now the next one is on number 9. Is Balance by Van Halen, and this is probably my favorite album with Sammy Hagar on it, with Van Halen. And this was a very popular record back in 95, you know, and it's strange because this was really melodic hard rock, you know, but a couple of these songs, you know, became very big. And I think it sold more than 5 million copies the first 1 or 2 years after this this release, 95. Another band that were popular in the 90s, at least in Europe, was Stratovarius, Fourth Dimension. This is probably still my favorite record by the band. I mean, Against the Winds, Distant Skies. I love those songs. It's great. This is really a good record. Then we have on number 7, Running Wild with Masquerade. See, this is a box. I already showed the box in my Running Wild video, so I'm not gonna show anything else inside of it. See, Masquerade, a very heavy record, you know, but pure heavy metal. I mean, it's really good. Some songs are even speed metal because they're so fast. It's a great record. Okay, another album that's amazing and surprising. I never bought this in '95. I mean, a friend of mine bought it, and he recorded for me on a tape, so I listened to the tape a lot. And then years after, I bought it. So this is a re-release. Gamma Ray, Land of the Free. This is incredible record. And when I listen to this, it really takes me back to '95 or '96, you know, that era. So I play this over again on tape. And all the album that takes me back to 1995 is Imagination from the Other Side by Blind Guardian. I mean, this record to me is amazing. Probably my favorite record by them. For I love the speed metal era, you know. I love, and later more the power metal era, like on this one. And this album is so good. You have here Born in the Morning Hall, Bright Eyes, Another Holy War. Incredible. This is a must-have if you're into metal, traditional metal. Okay, then the number 4 we have The Spider Lullaby by King Diamond, and this is, in my opinion, the last great album by King Diamond. I mean, after this they released a lot of other stuff that I like, you know, like House of God, Voodoo, you know, Abigail 2, you know, a lot of records I like, but this one is, to me, amazing. It's just a great album. See, King Diamonds. I mean, this is amazing. The Spider Lullaby. Another incredible record on number 3. This is the countdown. The last 3, my favorite records from 2000, from 95. Keep saying 2000. From 95. Dogs of War by Saxon. This is a must-have. And this is a lot better than the album before this one, Forever Free, that I also like. You know, or even better than Solid Balls of Rock. I mean, this album is pure heavy metal. And, I mean, for 95, you know, to release something like this is just amazing. Because they could have changed, but they never changed. Because Saxon are loyal to their fans. And the fans in Europe were loyal to Saxon. On number 2, the only Spanish CD I'm showing in this top 30, but this is the best heavy metal album that came out in '95 in Spain, hard rock heavy metal. It's the first album by Saratoga, and I saw them actually in near my hometown back in '95. This is the first album by Saratoga with Fortu from Obus in the band, and this album is amazing. I love it. And number 1, the best album from '95, in my opinion, was the debut album from Nocturnal Rites. I mean, In a Time of Blood and Fire. This album is ultra cool. It's traditional heavy metal. I mean, this style was anti-popular in '95, and this band still released this, you know, before Hammerfall came out. You know, because when Hammerfall came out, then there was again a boom back in '97, '98 of traditional heavy metal. But in '95, not many bands released style of music like this. And other bands that really made the great records, named The Sacred Place, you know, back in '95, was the band Attack. You know, a German band, was so great. But this one is better. Okay, this is the best album from '95. Then I want to show name a couple of records like live albums that came out in '95. I mean, I could have showed them, I could have got them out of my collection, but I didn't do it. I don't know why. Maybe I'm lazy. And for example, Pretty Mates released a good live album in '95. Let me see. I have here the list of all the records I own from '95. Let me see. Of course, Bon Jovi released a VHS tape, Live from London, '95. And also there was good black metal. I mean, I'm not showing anything black metal because some of my favorite black metal records were EPs. And on this top 30 I don't show any EPs. But for example, Through Chasm, Caves and Titan Woods by Carpathian Forest is a great black metal masterpiece. Only it's just too short to be able to put this on this list. Let me see. Also a lot of tapes came out, like demo tapes. Some bands, for example, that I didn't like, the records I didn't really like, was like Dokken by Dokken. You know, I own it in my collection, but I don't like it so much. Machine to Machine by Doro. You know, I made a video some time ago where I show records from the 90s that I don't really like so much on CD. And like the Doro Machine to Machine is one of them. You know, they had this industrial sound to it. Firehouse, the third album by Firehouse, was also a disappointment. Then we have, let me see, some more disappointments I'd like to talk about. So I had to listen to a lot of this stuff again to be able to tell you all this, what I'm telling you now. Maniac Butcher released a great record, Barbarians, in '95. The Spanish band Medina Zahara released a great record, Arabe, but of course just a 3 out of 5 album. Niflheim, that could have been on this list, but of course I only could choose 30. Axel Rudipel released a live album made in Germany. That was not bad. Only I think the songs were too long. You know, he made them too long. Axel Rudipel. Of course, Raven released Destroy All Monsters live in Japan back in '95. Sarcophago released like a best of Decade of Decay. Skid Row released Subhuman Race, Disappointment. Slayer released Live Intrusion, a VHS tape. That was good. Tiger Tales released Washbones. Little disappointed record, because after Berserk, you know, Washbones was to me a letdown. Not a bad record, but it has had some modern touches to it. Baratron, you know, the Greek black metal band, that they released Walpurgis Nacht. Again, it's just a 3-star out of 5, that's why I didn't make it. One that could have been on this list is Michael Sweet's Real, the second solo album by Michael Sweet. I really like that album. I like his first solo album more, but Real could have been on this list, but I could not choose them all. Oh, one I totally forgot to put on this list, I don't know why. Actually 2. Oh, Virgin Steel, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, Part 2. Yeah, I don't know if I should get it now to show you what... Anyway, everything I'm telling you I own, you know, you have to believe me. That one should have been on this list, because the reason it's not on, because you see this is page number 5 and I didn't check page number 5. Wasp, Still Not Black Enough, could have been on this list easily. To me that's a very good record. Of course the Crimson Idol is better, that's probably my favorite Wasp album, but Still Not Black Enough, I love it too. And then we have Monster Effect by X Wells. That was the second album by X Wells, ex-members of Running Wells. They released one album before, I think called So What, and was released only in Japan, I think in '94. But in '95 they released the first European release, and that album was Monster Effect, and it's a great album. If you like Running Wells, you like X Wells, you know, too. Okay. This is everything I want to say and everything I want to show. I mean, there were more things, but I forgot about a lot of things. You know, I don't really prepare my videos good. But, to be honest, this one took me nearly 2 months to be able to find the best ones. You know, the best ones from 1995. That's why these are really my best records. Of course, the Wasp one could have been on, the Virgin Steel, the Michael Sweet. But anyway, this is my top 30. I hope so you liked it. Some of you will discover a new world, I think, because a lot of people just are not thinking about traditional hard rock and heavy metal from the 90s. Of course, some of you, I know that they were also a metalhead in 95. They were still a metalhead. You know, they didn't lost touch to the hard rock and heavy metal movement during the 90s, especially after 93, 94, 95, 96. Those were the hard years. Those were the years that a lot of people that are now saying, oh yeah, I've been a metalhead for 30 years. No, because during those years, a lot of people, you know, stopped following this music. You know, and that, because of course they thought it was dead. You know, it's amazing, but that was the truth. I mean, the truth that they were reading. You know, it was. But of course, it's all a lie. 95 was a great year, and maybe next year I'll make one of 1996. That will be the 20th anniversary for 1996. And okay, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm talking too much, and it's getting crazy. Okay, stay heavy, everybody.